One thing very unique about our situation is that we don't cater, we don't provide services that where people just come and go. We actually build communities and homes for the people to stay in, to rest, especially in times of crisis, especially floods and likes. No, so what happened last week opened my eyes to a lot of things about our responsibility to our buyers. Among others, we've always made it a point to buy properties that are in less flood-prone area, and if even if they are, we try our best to address these in engineering ways. I think we've done a pretty good job in Meza because this time I think while the basement, I'm sorry, Save More I think had little water, but it wasn't earth shaking, no, like the Ondoy. And I think all of our efforts are always geared towards disaster preparedness. We may not have a CSR policy like the other groups here, but we take it upon ourselves that these are people living in our homes. So we have to make sure our occupants are all cared for, regardless of the situation. So what happened last week was the usual, a little leak here, a little flooding here, brownouts here. So we were able to handle that because the gensets were well stacked. We were able to make sure that the pumps were running, so everything was done. In fact, we also got instructions from our Vice Chairman, Mr. Henry C. Jr., that in case our buyers do have little problems inside their units, we are to go, even if we've already turned over the building to them, we still are to go and assist them because during a time like this, they may not know how to have their units fixed. No? So the instructions was for us to go and check on everybody in all our buildings. But let me just share something that happened in Meza. Save More had to close, so people were clamoring for some basic goods. Save More, and I was just talking to Mr. Harley here about the synergy again of SMDC and Save More because we were able, they were very gracious and they agreed to put out over-the-counter purchases for the buyer. So these are just basic commodities, no? So everybody went away happy. They had candles, they had matches, they had bread, they had water. So everybody was happy. But later on towards the afternoon, we noticed that transportation, of course, was no longer plying the routes. So there were around 90 stranded commuters and 10 stranded Save More employees whom our people from property management kindly adopted as temporary residents of Meza. They gave them shelter, and while we couldn't feed everybody, we used what the Filipinos is best known for, the bayanihan system. So we called all the homeowners there who would at least contribute a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And strangely, they were all, these are the guys who bought from Save More, and so they decided to share a little bit of what they got with the people there. Of course, early in the morning, around 4 or 5, when the water receded, a lot of these people disappeared. Now, we may never know who they are, but at least I'm glad to say that when they go home, they would probably tell their family that SM or SMDC took care of us. No? So I think that's also our responsibility. It's not just when there's a calamity, no, just to take care of the building. I think it's taking care of the human being that is our biggest market. No, it's a human factor, be it our own employees or the market out there.
Rose,
Other things we can take care of, the gensets, the pumps, all those things, those are physical, but it's the willingness to serve, I think, and to be able to tap the bayanihan spirit. That I think was the thing that stuck to my mind actually that day. Yes, Cor.
yeah, how many units have you actually turned over?
From Mesa, I think we've turned
Total.
over 80,
No,
90%.
but in total.
Oh, we've turned over Mesa. That's probably around 2,000 plus, 3,000 plus units. Berkeley, another one, two. We're starting to turn over the first tower of grass, which is 1,500. I just don't have the percentage. Field, a little bit. Chateauya, they're almost there. So I would dare say that we have maybe 8,000 units turned over and ongoing.
Okay.
This year we'll turn over just another phase, the last phase of C. But next year we should be turning over maybe over 10,000 units.
Okay.
So these are the people that even after we've turned over, we believe it's our responsibility to go back to them in times of, God forbid it should happen again, something like last week.
The commercial properties group basically handles the Mall of Asia complex as well as the business, the office buildings. So We basically face two challenges now. First, the location of Mall of Asia is such that it's right by the bay. So every time you have a storm or you have a tsunami, you feel the full force of the natural disaster. It's, you're right there. You're right. You feel it right smack hitting you, know. And number two, since most of our tenants, most of our customers are BPOs, BPOs have zero tolerance for business interruption. So in a situation like ours, you can't react to disasters. You actually have to anticipate it, no? Before it happens. And so what have we done? Basically, if you look at the way the Mall of Asia complex was designed, the infrastructure in place, you'd wish that perhaps that's how Metro Manila, perhaps that's the infrastructure that Metro Manila should follow. For example, no, when it was reclaimed, it was elevated so that it's 3 meters above sea mean level. So it'll take how many ondoys before rain can actually go there. The whole system of drainage and interceptor canals are so huge and so large so that when water comes in, they're immediately flushed back right out to Manila Bay. The seawall, even the design of the seawall was designed in such a way that when the waves hit the wall, they're designed in such a way that they bounce back so that they don't go in. So if you noticed, when all that garbage was coming in the Ross Boulevard area, there was no garbage in the Mall of Asia complex. That was because of the wave deflectors. The garbage were bouncing back to the sea. Stuff like that, no. For example, the power, no, the power loop that was designed in the Mall of Asia complex is such that we have redundancy. We have power sources both from Pasay and from Bacoor. So if one loop gets cut off, we're still gonna get power from another loop, so that the power stability is very good, no. The substation in Mall of Asia complex has been classified as priority load. Now, what does this mean? We're like a hospital. If ever Meralco shuts down and they go back, we're first to be brought back to power, just like a hospital. Our buildings, our office buildings, it's reclaimed land, no. So the way the buildings are designed is the pile driving is driven all the way as much as 40 meters down, so that they're really anchored on rock beds, no. So that in case of earthquakes, it's almost as stable, like as if the building was not in reclaimed land, no. And even I don't know if you've noticed, no, we've got a lot of aluminum cladding and curtain wall, which did not fly considering how strong the winds were. No, other buildings in Makati and Ortigas, which is far, far away, when you go, all the aluminum claddings have been gone. That's because when we put those curtain walls and aluminum claddings, we pressure test it up to 200 kilometers per hour, so that it'll take a really, really strong wind for those things to be removed. So those are the things that you need to really anticipate and put into the design, rather than just reacting to it when the disaster happens.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So, I'd like to open the floor to questions, if there are. Yes, Chea.
The second quarter is what would be your projected number of users for 2020? The company's balance sheet, the debt, or rather the cash and debt level, and how has it been compared to
Our same-store sales in Metro Manila was flat. However, in the provincial areas, provincial Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, they were pretty healthy. We had about +4, +5, which is about the industry level. We attribute the Manila performance to the number of competitors that we have. For example, if you take our SM Supermarket in our SM Manila Mall, we are surrounded by about close to 29 small, medium, and big competitive supermarkets. So the market in the metro is already not nearing saturation point, but there is a lot of competition, which we believe accounts for the flat performance that we had for the same stores. Oh, sorry. For the new stores to open for the balance of the year. Sorry, I have to check my numbers, so indulge with me for a while. Jojo, ikaw muna.
Okay, for the department store, same stores growth was 7.8%, and chain-wide it's 9.5 for the first half. We will be opening the 46th store, Jensen, in September of this year. For next, and Lanang and Lanang, we already opened Jensen last week. So we will end the year at 46 with 46 stores. Well, as far as the new store openings for 2014, we will just take the mall openings of SM Prime. I believe they are looking at 3 malls next year, so we will be opening 3 department stores.
And just to go back to your question, we will be opening at least 15 more stores towards the end of the year. So,
How about for next year?
for next year, plus or minus 30, depending on how many stores the mall will allow us to open. But for Save More and for Hypermarket, which are standalones really, we have more flexibility. So we're looking at 25 to 30 stores.
Still on the retail. So far, the retail sales have been, the growth for the second quarter appears to be the weakest since 2010. So basically what you're saying is, I'm correct in saying that you're attributing the weakness or slower growth in retail sales to competition. Because it's about 6.2% growth for the second quarter. And the last time we've done something that is something like the third quarter of 2010 when government spending was actually decelerating at that time. So, am I correct in interpreting?
The biggest factor really would be the competitive situation in Metro Manila. So let me qualify that. In the Metro, yes, the competitive situation is getting more and more exciting. In the provincial areas, there we are growing very healthy.
But total sales, Joey, for Save More, total sales increased by, if I'm not mistaken, about 34%, right? So its growth, the growth is really coming from expansion at this point, and once there's a bit more stability in the markets, then we can expect same-store sales to also stabilize over time. No?
Cora, our store sales for Save More is 43%.
Up 43%.
Well, for the department store, our growth for the second quarter is low because our base the previous year is quite high. No? But to date, year to date, we are 100.4% to target. So we're there. Now, for same stores, it's 7.8. I think that's a very healthy figure.
Very healthy for department store. Historically, we've only been seeing that growth at about 3 to 5%. So this year is quite extraordinary for department stores.
How much of your sales on the 2 stores are coming from
For the department store, it's 54%.
Just wondering what the engineering intervention in Santa Mesa will do to the surrounding community, because that's a large footprint that you would have to water that will have to be displaced in an area that's already flooding like above.
Actually, in terms of like flooding, I don't think that we'll be able to prevent flooding on those streets. No, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, in a way, prevent damage to the mall, like in the future. Because if we don't do that, we may have to have that experience again if we have the likes of Ondoy or like what happened last week happening again. So it's also trying to basically protect that business there, as well as the employees and the people that are working there. Because to us, we actually don't want malls to be closed for like 2 months or 45 days, because you can just imagine the people also, no, that are working in those areas, they will not be able to report to work for like more than a month.
How much will you be claiming from your insurance? And how much would be losses in?
We have not actually completed the evaluation yet. We're still trying to estimate the numbers. But since last week, the insurance companies and the adjusters have been in our shopping centers almost every day.
what was the experience during Ondoy? Because that's the same store that was flooded.
No. Okay. The main difference is during Ondoy, the water actually went up to the ceiling. So when it goes up to the ceiling, the damage will be more because you have the wiring and all the lighting that are affected. Now, this time, it's actually not up to the ceiling. So damage should actually be not more than half of what we had before. So it should be lower. And there's only one mall that is affected, which is Santa Mesa, whereas Ondoy, we also had Rosales, Marikina affected.
I wanted to share with you the reason why we have this presentation today, and it's not the traditional presentation of all financial, is because we wanted to let everybody know that this is not just hitting our numbers, but it's also showing you what we do when they're in times of calamity. So it's a little bit untraditional today, but then the figures are there. We're showing you that we're still hitting the numbers, and we believe we'll be able to continue the trend and be able to sustain it. On top of that, we'd like to be able to show you that we also care for the community.
Yeah. I think that said, we're also continuing with the expansion program. There's no change in any of the expansion. So we just really wanted to focus on the CSR operations of SM today because, the time demands us to talk about it. Okay. If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. And please stay safe. There's still typhoon coming. And thank you.